These are the Brum Tech Scene interviews. I'm Stuart Langridge, and I'm here talking to Bruce Lawson, who is...
I'm open standards advocate with Opera, the Norwegian browser, Stuart.
So, what's Opera?
We're a browser company. In fact, we're the oldest web browser that's still on the market. We predate IE. Very big on mobile devices, particularly in Southeast Asia, APAC and Africa, but we're headquartered in Oslo, Norway.
Now, in general, I'm here talking to people about Birmingham and the Brum tech scene and so on, but most of your work tends to take you out of Birmingham, right?
That's true. I travel a lot, for work. In fact, when I'm in Birmingham, I tend not to be doing work because I'm here with my family and sitting around, eating pies and chips and drinking Mitchell and Butlers. So I don't actually spend that much time at the Birmingham tech scene.
So perhaps then our job here is to tempt you somewhat. I mean, obviously you've been around in the city for a while. What brought you here, or what kept you here?
Well, I grew up here in a suburb called Rubery, and then when I was living overseas and we came back in 2000, my wife and my daughter then. And I've always liked Birmingham, although I don't have a Birmingham accent anymore. I've always considered myself a Brummie. And there's something about the city that I really like. I really enjoy the fact that cultural stuff, traditionally that's gone on in London, and we're the guys who sort of make stuff. We might not be glamorous, but we work hard, and I like to think that could be my watchword as well.
An epitaph, if ever you'd want one. So, as I say, you've been around in Birmingham for a long time and involved with technology for a long time. What do you think is interesting going on in the city at the moment?
There's loads of individual meetups. I think, personally, what we need is some overarching thing to bring everybody together. I don't know who that is or what that is. I suspect it could be as simple as a space that is big enough to accommodate all the technologists together. I know that you and I have spoken before about resurrecting the Lunar Society, which was the old industrialists in the Industrial Revolution time, and somehow trying to get together all the different facets of the new technologies. High tech is the industrial revolution of the 20th and 21st century. That's undeniable, and I think it should be more prevalent and more obvious in the city where the 19th century industrial revolution began.
The Lunar Society actually exists here in Birmingham. Having gone and looked it up, yes. Although, and they do still do things, but they don't seem to be particularly involved with the technology scene. There's someone else who I'd like to see brought in under the overarching umbrella that you're talking about. But I think it's interesting you say a space, not just a kind of a conceptual headspace, but an actual physical location, because at the moment, most of the meetups that go on are either in pubs or they're in either Faraday Wharf on the Science Park, or they're down in Facey Studios in Digbeth, or they're in the Whisk offices. The Whisk team have been quite generous in use of their offices for things. But you don't see a lot of spaces where you can organise something like this, I don't think.
No, and I wonder why. It seems to me I speak more regularly in London than I do in Birmingham, and it seems to me that they've no shortage of big companies who are willing to volunteer their HQs, or Google have something called Google Campus in around Old Street, Silicon Roundabout, that they seem willing to open up for meetups, etc. I wonder whether it isn't something that the local council should be doing, because it is a way to attract businesses and to galvanise businesses. There's a lot of people who could really benefit from meeting each other, but they don't know each other exists, and hopefully we can help with that just by introducing people. But there has to be somewhere for people to get together that is central, because everybody has to get in or out of New Street or Snow Hill. sometimes some of the old industrial areas aren't the most pleasant places to walk through late at night if you're a female on the tech scene. And that's another reason why pub meetups are great. I love going to the pub, but we have a big community of Muslim people in Birmingham who might not be comfortable going to the pub. There should be some kind of space that's central, very modern, good Wi-Fi, well lit with good transport connections, I think.
As you said, you travel around a lot and everything and don't get much of a chance to actually participate inside Birmingham. If we had such a space, the sort of thing you're describing, and some overarching umbrella organisation, what would you like to see them do? What do you think could really exhibit interesting things in Birmingham?
The hard thing to do getting something like this started is getting speakers and audiences. We've got a very diverse tech scene here. There's games developers, there's designers, there's social media people. It's probably quite hard to find subjects that will get all those people in. The difficulty, I think, is that something like that, kickstarting it or galvanising it, requires significant curation, which isn't insurmountable, but it probably needs a group of people to do it, because everybody has lives as well as just organising meetups. I think it needs a good space. You can't overstate the importance of a nice space. Whether it be the library or something like that. We have some really great infrastructure in Birmingham. I don't see why the library couldn't act as some kind of space, for example. You need something that's central and something that has all the mod cons that people need.
The library's conceivably a really good thought, though. It is central. It's by definition modern. They only finished building it 5 minutes ago. I'm also very keen on this because it's about, at a conservative estimate, 200 yards walk from my flat, so that's okay. But in general, it is lovely, and to some extent, it's a symbol of the revitalisation of the city. If you look at important Birmingham landmarks, most of them are old and made of concrete and rather brutalist, or there's something rather horrid like the BT Tower. Mm-hmm. And if you were looking for an emblem, a badge of the new digital Birmingham, the library's not a bad one, I think.
I think it's an excellent one. I mean, what is a library but a compendium of knowledge? And what is the web but a digital compendium of knowledge? The web's just the Library of Alexandria, but in 0 and 1 format.
Writ large and contributory, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd like to see the library as it matures and grows, because, as you say, it's 5 minutes old and still finding its own feet. But I think that would be a great place for some kind of meetups to occur. Get on it, Birmingham Council.
So, we're doing a series of these interviews. Who is there who you would like to see spoken to? Who would you like to hear what they're doing?
I've always been impressed by the work of Matthew Somerville, or Dracos, on the Twitters, because the stuff he does with his colleagues in My Society, I think, is exemplary work for both web stuff, democracy, contributory. I think those are all the kind of things that we've been talking about today, personified in one organisation's work. And as Matthew's a local, and I know him, I'd like to see him interviewed. And
final question, what's your favourite biscuit?
Favourite biscuit? This is a tricky one. I am very fond of the custard cream, but I do like a rich tea. It's plain, it's simple, you know where you are, but I dip it in coffee.
Far be it from me to question your choice, despite the fact that rich tea biscuits are basically coasters. But thank you very much.
Thanks, Stuart.
Bruce Lawson.